You'll hear it.
Jerry, thank you so much for taking the time. This is just a wonderful thing that you're doing. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You know, you're a luminary in the industry. You've been around a long time. You've played with a lot of important people. So
Yeah, but you know what, Elliot, nowadays, it doesn't matter. It's just, you know, you want to interview me, you know, whatever it is, I'm there. It all helps, because this is a business now that's so overrun with social media, and you just have to do everything. You do. And I'm happy to do it.
I noticed you have a drumstick that is charred to bits in the middle of it. Is that from hitting the rim on the snare?
Yes. Yeah.
And do they eventually just fly away and snap?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, you must hit it in a nice way. That's how you get that nice big crack, because you're hitting the rim at the same time you're hitting the
Exactly.
snare.
That's what I do.
So it just developed it over time and you stuck with it, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just a habit that I started doing it when I was 10 years old. And
So
I don't ever break a stick hitting a cymbal.
Just
Maybe the ride cymbal, because I'm pummeling it. I don't know. I think you hit the ride cymbal. You're a drummer, right?
Yeah.
Well, you hit the ride cymbal a lot
lot.
more than you hit any other cymbal.
That's right.
If you're riding them.
That's true.
Hence ride. I have 3 snare drums. That's probably the most unusual thing about this.
What do you do then?
They're tuned very differently.
Now.
They're all tuned very differently. But here,
Now hit
That's-
the regular snare.
what?
Now hit the regular snare. Yeah.
So this would be my main snare. This is what a high. Then I can also turn that off, and then it's like.
Nice. Okay.
So that ends up.
I'm sorry.
That becomes like a tom, which at one
Nice.
point I had an 8-inch tom there. Now I use that instead. The security record, which this project is basically named after, because of the music, that record didn't have cymbals on it.
Right.
So
Now, was that intentional? They just said no cymbals starting from scratch?
no, not that I don't remember. I mean, what I remember is that we were experimenting with. They, but I'm not a technician, so I'm playing the drums. But they were doing experimenting with compression, distortion, and room sounds, distant mics. And so playing the drums, they got the drums to sound fantastic. The minute you hit a cymbal, it sounded terrible. So so the idea, I think, was get rid of the cymbals and we'll overdub them, but they have to be mic'd differently. When you think about it, this is like recording like a a double bass and a piccolo. They don't sound anything alike. So they're both being recorded in the same microphones.
So did you actually remove them? So you
Yeah,
wouldn't
we
hit
just
them?
took them away, so there was no
way you can hit them.
They just couldn't hit them. To me, it was just really like a happy mistake, which many times brilliant things, that's how they happen.
That's how they happen.
Nobody figured it out. It was just a weird mistake. The idea was to overdub the cymbals later. I think when it came time to overdub the cymbals, the feeling was, it doesn't need cymbals. Well, who says you have to have a crash cymbal going into a chorus? So and it created a different sound. Peter's vision was not traditional in any sense. So, of course, there was no way, you couldn't really write it down. There were no instructions. There was no instruction manual for what he was trying to do. I mean, the guy is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But did he walk around telling everybody what to play? No. But did he have a major effect on what everybody ended up playing and the way they approached the music, more importantly, and the mindset was very much about Peter. He didn't usually have lyrics. He might have an idea for a subject or a title, and but he didn't really come in with anything really written, musically or lyrically.
So let's talk about some of your approach to some of the music. You're not straight on the beat either. You like doing interesting things.
Yeah.
Does that just come naturally, or do you really practice and think about the music a long time? How does your process go?
It came naturally after Peter got me past the initial approach to playing more straightforward. And then Peter would be like, okay, he would do that with all of us. We'd just start playing and it would sort of start to sound like, I don't even know how to describe it, Bon Jovi. Like it would sound like a rock record. And then Peter would be like, okay, that's great. I'm glad we've done that and got that out of our systems. Now that's exactly what it can't sound like. Now we know what it can't sound like. So then the thing was then, okay, those were where our instincts took us. And then his thing was pushing you, well, go beyond your instincts. What's deeper? What's below the surface? And that was, I'm very grateful, to him for doing that.
What's your favorite song to play now in the sets that you're doing?
With this band?
Yeah, with this band.
That's really a complicated question. But I mean, there's no one, but I can tell you.
What are your favorites?
Well, Lay Your Hands on Me, Family in the Fishing Net, Rhythm of the Heat. And so those are the ones. Oh, San Jacinto. We call them the epics.
They are. Yeah.
And I love Wallflower. I love the song. It's drumming wise. It's not. There's nothing exciting about it. But it's just It's a brilliant song.
So tell me, when you first got together, how did the dynamic work? Did you just say, hey, let's just try these songs, or did you start with other stuff just to get used to each other? How did that work?
Other music?
Yeah. How would you come together as a band?
We just started playing some of these Gabriel songs. We picked a bunch of songs to learn. We got together at my studio called Dreamland, which is just outside of Woodstock. We spent a few days there, kind of getting to know one another and playing and seeing how it felt. Yeah, and it was good. We had a good time. We enjoyed it. We needed a guitar player. I had Sid McGuinness came up, who had played with Peter, and he's in that first original video. He was doing the David Letterman show, and I mean, I don't know, for whatever reasons, he just wasn't interested in doing it. And I can really understand that, because really the bulk of what we're doing, A, was not stuff that Sid had played on when he worked with Peter. B, it's not really in Sid's wheelhouse. So, but Sid's great and he's a close friend. Larry Fast was involved in some way, but did not want to come out and tour. And I don't think for Larry, he just doesn't tour. He doesn't play out.
But didn't he help you guys with some of the sounds to get things matched?
He did. He helped us with some of the sounds initially, and then a very close friend of mine named Harvey Jones, who's a phenomenal keyboard player, and he's from England, and a big Gabriel fan, and a guy that I started a band with when I moved up to Woodstock in the 80s, and have remained very close friends with. He's a programmer, player, synth guy. I wanted him to do it, but he was too busy to do it. But in the end, I connected him with David Jemison, who's our keyboard player, and he helped David quite a bit to put these, to put the sounds together.
So David's an interesting guy, right? He used to work at IBM, the research center.
Yeah, exactly.
Not your prototypical rock star. So was he always a keyboardist that you knew? Yeah, right. So how'd you know him? Where'd you know him from?
I didn't.
Oh, how'd you get introduced to him?
Through Scott Weinberger. They were friends. They had played together in a band, and Scott was the guy who approached me about doing it. Scott's very
persuasive. Maybe we should try Larry. Maybe you want to try Larry. No, I didn't want to call Larry. Somehow he got me to call Larry, or he called Larry. I called Larry. He didn't want to do it. So Scott said, you know, it's a long shot, but I know this guy, and he's not really a professional keyboard player, but he's really great, and he's a hard worker. He knows the material. He loves the material. And maybe you should just consider, maybe just get together with him and see what you think. Okay. And that's David Jemison. We played with him, and he did a great job. He's done a great job. It's a big chair. They're big shoes to fill, Larry's shoes. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Peter was playing keyboards and Larry, so he's got a double duty.
Both boys, yes.
And so he's done an incredible job.
So I've always wondered this, when you put down a track for a song, and then, of course, we live with that forever, right? So when I would listen to the song again, I'd try and recreate every little nuance and do it exactly the way either you or somebody else would be on record. How do you now approach that live? What do you do? Do you want to keep it the same, or?
I don't go out of my way to I keep it, you know, generally I keep it basically the same, but I'm not trying to reinvent the approach to the drums on any particular song every time we play it. In the studio, I might do that. I might try different things, dramatically different things. You know, because what I'll do is, you know, I'm pretty good at getting to what I want to do pretty quickly. And yeah, so we'll record that, and then we'll play it again, and I'll start to shift it and play it again. And, you know, sometimes you can play songs over and over again. And I'll try lots of different things, because then why play it the same way over and over again? But then you have you go through this process, and there's more of an opportunity to stumble across something that's not the obvious thing. And then go, have the artist or producer or both go, you know what, we really like this. We thought we liked this, but now that you're doing this, we kind of like this. From the get-go, there was something going on here. There's something about playing this music that it's just so unique and so unusual, and it's interesting. We're very into it, very. It's fantastic to be playing this music again. And then for me personally, you know, as you probably see tonight, a lot of these people that come to our shows were there 30 years ago, and so it's funny to see them. They're like old friends. They were at shows. They love talking to me about like a show they saw and something that happened. You know, so that's really great. It's like reconnecting with high school friends, you know, that you haven't seen in 40 years.
That's great.
And so that's really that's a great thing about it. And of course, traveling around the country is great. Playing venues like here, where we're at the Tupelo in Londonderry, New Hampshire. We played the Natick Performing Arts Center, you know, the Bearsville Theater, which is in Woodstock. The Fall River, the Narrows in Fall River, Massachusetts is a great venue. You know, they're not big, ginormous places, so there's this sense of intimacy, you know, so you get really close to the people. You know, no place is super cool if there's 30 people in the audience. But when a place like this is pretty well, you know, filled with people, that's totally cool. And they're enthusiastic, which they always are. These people love hearing this music. So that's a great thing. I really enjoy that.
September 77, Port Elizabeth qualified. It was business as usual in police room 619. Oh, Biko, 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 track.